Hey guys, it's the Immaculate Threat, Nevaeh Chantel, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday, and interviewing all your favorite wrestlers on Wednesdays on YouTube and Castbox. I'm your host, that guy, James Shea, alongside the leader of Squash Squad, Kaliko Yachts.
Is it too late to have a bender after a week after your birthday? Or can the bender just last all month?
Hey, go for it. It could last 4 years in your case. and the American Scooter Dust.
Well, I had my whole left side amputated, but don't worry, I'm all right now.
And it's a great day for wrestling, as last week on the show we interviewed Nevaeh Chantel, which was quite the interview. Very interesting person is Nevaeh. We had a lot of fun talking about more than just wrestling, which seems to be our thing, isn't it, Scooter?
Absolutely, and I can guarantee you that it won't only just be her fans enjoying that interview.
Oh, absolutely. You know, when we say you gotta listen to it, it's a great interview. You know, a lot of people might just think, we're hyping it up, we're blowing smoke, but in this case, they are really great interviews with great people that you just gotta listen to.
But I am blowing smoke right now, so.
Well, that's just a normal day, isn't it?
Yep, that's just a normal day in the Scooter Dust household.
Next week on the show, El Diablo, Gabriel Fioza. That is definitely
Fuerza.
That's definitely one you do not want to miss. I mean, really interesting Mexican from Canada. Uh, it's been a while since we've had somebody that worked in the Canadian promotions, hasn't it?
If by that you mean like 10 minutes. As I was about to say somebody who's, I thought you were going to say somebody who's worked in Mexico.
Well, yeah, we haven't had a Mexican from Mexico on yet. Maybe that's a goal for 2021. And coming up on the 17th of March, Mike Law. That is definitely another one you do not want to miss. Mike is a veteran of this business, and
My home proxy.
And you could.
And I feel that's going to be another 2 parts.
Oh no, we're not. No more 2 parts. Maybe.
Boo.
Boo.
One part, the whole shebang in one go.
But I'm gonna take that to assume that it's not that doesn't rule out 3 parts.
I mean, I'm not against a 3-parter. Make it a saga.
Mini-series. Yeah.
A mini-series, yeah.
A mini documentary. That's pretty.
The first fictional wrestling podcast. Ooh.
And the rest of March, not yet completely confirmed, but we will be trying to get on for sure Armani Chaos, Mark Shaw, and Braden Lee. I know we've been promising Braden. Hopefully we could finally get him on in the month of March, possibly April.
And Mark Shaw, there's some very interesting stuff there out on YouTube involving Mark Shaw. as it pertains to essentially, I wouldn't call it backyard wrestling, but it's very creative in its production, and I showed it to James. I'm not sure if he's watched it yet, but it's something I don't think any promotion has thought yet to do.
I have not yet seen it because I haven't had time. But I bookmarked it and I'm ready to watch it somewhere in thereof. Uh, and he's not wrestling a Rock, is he? Not Dwayne Johnson.
No, I mean there are rocks involved, but put it this way. I'm gonna say the name of a very infamous video game, Zero Wing.
What?
And all your base are belong to us. Let's just say this particular match of sorts starts out as dialogue from a 16-bit RPG.
Oh my god, that sounded interesting. And we might be possibly next week. We might be doing, well, we actually are, a WrestleMania March Madness bracket.
That's
And
it. Mania Madness. And
WrestleMania. We should name it Colossal Tussle, just for tribute.
Colossal Tussle. At least make it rhyme.
Well, that was the original name of WrestleMania.
I know.
Gotta do a tribute, pal.
I'd rather have the Fracas and Caracas.
More details probably in the coming week, and just check our Twitter page at Wrestling with E for more information when it becomes available to us.
I can say I have roughly mapped out the rules for the way we'll be picking matches, and I think our best bet will be to release those on Twitter when they're ready for final approval.
Absolutely. Alright. Enough of putting ourselves over. It's time to get into maybe the bad news of the week. Longtime NWA promoter Jim Crockett passed away earlier this week. Definitely a polarizing figure in the wrestling community, to say the least. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit more, Scooter?
Well, of course, we're referring to Jim Crockett Jr., part owner of the infamous Jim Crockett Promotions that eventually affiliated and essentially became the National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA. In addition to wrestling, Crockett was also involved in minor league baseball, owning the Charlotte Orioles, and in a team in the Southern Hockey League, the Winston-Salem Polar Twins. Crockett first became NWA president in 1980, an election that was actually won. 2 years he spent there. He had a working relationship with Maple Leaf Wrestling, and around 1983, when Maple Leaf Wrestler owner Frank Tunney passed, and his nephew Jack Tunney, yes, that Jack Tunney, switched affiliations from Jim Crockett Promotions to Vince McMahon and the WWF. Crockett then formed the AWA with Vert Gagne, which a lot of people might not know. They might attribute that to being all Gagne. Crockett came back to the NWA in '85, actually buying, or I should say rebuying, the TV spot Vince McMahon bought on TBS during Black Sunday. He organized the Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup, a tag team tournament, which
It's still done today in NWA Wrestling.
still spent a third term as NWA president in 1987. Then he bought Championship Wrestling from Florida, the original Championship Wrestling from Florida, and the Universal Wrestling Federation from Herb Abrams, acquiring most notably Sting and Jim Ross. Then Jim Crockett Promotions was rebranded as the NWA officially, owned 6 territories in the NWA throughout his tenure as president, which confused a lot of fans because in the Major League Baseball or the NFL, you can only own one franchise at a time. But Crockett, unfortunately, was nearing bankruptcy by the end of the 80s, sells Jim Crockett Promotions to Ted Turner, becomes WCW. Crockett remained president. Crockett remained NWA president until 1991. Interestingly enough, Crockett is probably the first promoter to attempt to run a network devoted entirely to wrestling, and not only that, on the internet in 1994, called the World Wrestling Network. It was short-lived and it kept buffering, but
not a lot's changed there.
After he retired full-time from wrestling in 1995, he spent the rest of his time as a realtor and mortgage loan originator in Texas. He passed away March 4th due to complications of liver and kidney failure. He was 76 years old, and that's that hits home to me because that's how old my father is. And it's one of the, if not the unsung hero of professional wrestling. Imagine what the wrestling world would be like if there wasn't a Jim Crockett Jr.
True. I mean, yeah, he's done a lot for wrestling. Maybe, depending on who you ask, maybe he didn't have the best relationship with a lot of the talent. But that's not saying he hasn't done a lot for pro wrestling.
Yes, and the something good to come out of this. It looks like Jim Crockett Jr. may be posthumously inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year.
And Kaliko, you wanna say any thoughts about Jim Crockett Jr.?
I mean, how to follow that, right? But,
I'm sorry.
I mean, you're the only guy that can, Kaliko.
But but in essence, I totally 1,000, 1,000,000% agree with Scooter in the sense of him being the unsung hero. Because without him, there's no Ric Flair. Without him, there's no Four Horsemen. Without him, there's no Dusty Finish. Without him, there's no Dusty Rhodes. Without him, there's no Sting. Without him, there's no good old JR. And it goes on and on and on. And it kind of sucks in the sense that, and keep in mind, he was the first one kind of to start wrestling in the holidays. Because keep in mind, they used to do Christmas shows and Thanksgiving shows, which Vince McMahon rivaled with Survivor Series.
Right.
So he was a visionary. It's just that, unlike Vince, he stuck to the code, and the code being everybody just runs their own territory. And he tried to catch up. By the time he tried to catch up, it was too late, and he didn't have the money or the capital. This is a big what if. It's like, what if Crockett went national as far as TV landscape before Vince took it and it became rock and wrestling? That's a big what if.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because I mean, there's nothing saying that he wouldn't have succeeded. And considering that he had, at that time, who people really thought was the greatest wrestler in the world at that time, it would have been a game changer. But now we're just stuck with what ifs. But I'm just glad he's getting his due. I'm glad a lot of people are getting their due that history, tends to kind of ignore, because the one thing we always ignore is context.
Right.
We remember winners and losers, but we don't remember the context in which it happened. Like, everybody remembers Vince being this visionary, but no one remembers Vince actually, oh yeah, I'm not going to play with this territory shit. So I get it, but he just gets his due, and I'm just happy he got the due,
And our thoughts and prayers go out to his friends and family. On another note, this past Monday, Bobby Lashley is now your WWE champion. You had, Scooter, you have predicted that, Miz was going to cash in, the whole John Cena thing. We kind of went back and forward with the Elimination Chamber thing. And now we're just really confused, aren't we? As to what's going on.
I mean, absolutely. The WWE, at least the Raw side of things, has no idea what they want to do in terms of WrestleMania with the WWE Championship. This is, given that we're only, so many days removed from McIntyre losing and him not immediately trying to win it back, instead being parlayed into a match with Sheamus on Raw, which, again, very surprising, because if McIntyre was going to face anybody at WrestleMania, it was going to be Sheamus. And the potential to do Irishman versus Scotsman, cinematic match almost writes itself. And I feel like you could do that, and then McIntyre could go right back into the title picture. I still think McIntyre can obviously now go right back into the title picture at any time. As for Lashley's win, yes, it's the win itself is huge, and it got Miz over as a huge chicken shit heel again, what we all knew and loved him for.
Right.
I mean, I can't really buy into the fact that only after 8 days did the entire Raw locker room want him to not be champion. It's going to be very interesting to see where this goes, only because we had Lashley and McIntyre immediately after WrestleMania last year as a one-off. Now the question is, who can really fill that main event caliber slot with Bobby Lashley? And the rumor, and that's all it is at this point, is that we could be finally getting one of the few remaining dream matches that's still capable of happening in Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley.
Now, I see, well, it might be a dream match for some people, but I've personally never seen Bobby Lashley on a Brock Lesnar level, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, would it probably be a good match? Absolutely. But am I thinking who's going to win? Obviously, I'm thinking Brock. But, that's just how I view it in all this.
You also have to take into account that Lashley had the monster look, but wasn't given the monster push. I mean, his only actual, one-on-one WWE title match was against John Cena, and Cena beat him clean.
And that was in 2007, I believe.
Yes.
Great American Bash.
Great American Bash, yes. And it's gonna be very, very interesting. This is a case of and this is a defining example of what a championship should be. The person who is over should not be winning the championship. The championship, the person winning the championship, that moment should get them over or allow them to get over.
What say you, Kaliko?
Well, I always said it's very rare that anyone goes bell to bell nowadays with the title. So when Drew won it at Mania, lost it. When he lost it to Orton, I thought maybe, but now it's abundantly clear where they're going as far as a direction. Drew and Sheamus, I don't think that story's over. I think that was just, I feel like that match, from the way that they were looking after the match, I feel like it's not done yet. And with Drew, like you said, if he could go in the title picture at any time, I feel like he's going to be kind of trying to get rid of the distraction that kind of caused it in the first place, which I believing is, Sheamus and maybe Miz and then maybe Lashley. To me, Bobby Lashley being only the third black WWE champion, not to be confused with the World Heavyweight Champion, which had a separate lineage. it is a big deal. I feel like that this was way overdue. I felt like, he had the same physique as Brock Lesnar, just not the same opportunities. And some people could call it racism and stereotypical in politics. Yeah, you could say all that, but I believe Bobby Lashley at this point feels like all of that is worth it with the gold in his hand right now. And who better for him to beat if he gets this match than Brock Lesnar? It'll be Black Lesnar versus Brock Lesnar, because that's basically what it's going to be. Shout out to Scooter for that one.
Wait, is that a mob coming towards me?
I got your back. That's why I said it. I got the umbrella for you, bro. But to me, it sets him off. It sets the tone, right? Because at this point, the Hurt Business is kind of in a funky situation, right? Like, on one hand, you got the tag team, which is heels. And then on the other side, you got Lashley, who's kind of like this pseudo face because of the simple fact that he went against The Miz. And it's not like the way he won the belt screamed face, because you usually don't see a heel get 3 chances in one night. So that's where I see a dynamic hitting the wall. Not right now, because they showed the videos after Raw, and MVP was so proud of all of them. And he's another guy. He's the fucking MVP. Like, I'm giving him his flowers now, because he turned 3 dudes, and it's funny because the black community kind of pays attention to black wrestlers that much. And it's like, bro, they were all in the middle of nowhere until MVP, like, got them all together. And now look at him. So, hell, he gets his flowers too. He's like the fucking Vince Lombardi right now, like a Bill Belichick and shit. So he to me gets just as much flowers as Lashley, because Lashley always had it. I just feel like MVP was the person to get him through the politic bullshit, because this is no different than what he did with Leo Rush. It's just that Leo Rush was too young to deal with the politics part. MVP could deal with the politics part.
True.
MVP is not obsessed with Lashley's ass.
Or his tries. Hey, big guy, let me see your tries.
On the opposite side of the spectrum this week, it was announced that NWA will return with a paid preview the same day as WWE Fastlane, which will then prompt the return of NWA Power, not on YouTube, but on Fite TV. Scooter, good idea, bad idea? Is it maybe time to close the casket on NWA?
Well, the rumors were circulating that Tony Khan was involved in this in some way, and as of now, we do know that Tony Khan and Billy Corgan still do have a working relationship. As for putting
is still on AEW TV.
As for putting Power behind a paywall, not the greatest idea. I mean, this isn't 2000. Yeah, it's not 2002. I mean,
this isn't TNA. This is not.
I mean, yes, you it's a subscription service, and you get access to more than just NWA Power, but I could see it if maybe they were producing 2 hours of content but they were only producing an hour, and that's being generous. 45 minutes.
Right.
They were sticking to that old 1 hour format, and this is a very it's very hard to say whether or not this is going to have a positive or negative outcome.
What about you, Khalifa? Your thoughts?
I'm with it only if it's free. Because ROH is on Fight TV and they play back episodes and it's free. So maybe it's just a platform. I think it's a platform thing. Now, granted, YouTube is way bigger than Fight TV. But at this point, they just need to start back. Because the problem with NWA is they lost a lot of people.
WWE and AEW purged the roster, essentially.
Pretty much. And not even that. Like, you got people that just left and became independents. Prime example, Allison Kay, the former NWA Women's Champion. Like, it just dipped and came to mutual agreement, and now she's just doing her own thing again as a free agent. So it just kind of like the saving grace is probably because they still got Thunder Rosa. So I'm thinking Thunder Rosa, Nick Aldis is going to be the build-up around it. But it has to be free. It cannot be a paywall. Because it makes no sense to go from YouTube, which is virtually free, and they were just making all the revenue from views and comments and you know what I'm saying? Right. It makes no sense to go from that to go to a app where you're probably going to have to pay to have the content on there in the first place.
Not to mention, when it comes to Fight TV and pro wrestling, it's not a pay one get all type deal. It's different. If you want Ring of Honor, Impact, and everything else, you gotta pay essentially three different subscription fees. And that's not including pay-per-views.
Now, is this just maybe an issue with the platform Fight TV? Would we be having this discussion if NWA was possibly on independent wrestling TV, which is a lot of the independent wrestling shows are on?
I'm not sure. It would probably be easier for fans to access NWA if it were on IWTV.
Right, and you get those fans that are already on there, and you might actually bring more fans to that app because it's NWA and the name value. And it doesn't hurt that you get over 100 other independent pro wrestling companies as well for the low price of $9.99. Maybe we'll
honestly, it would have been better if they had just stayed on YouTube, because nothing is simpler than YouTube. It's Mando on everybody's phone that has an Android. It's the number one bloody streaming service on earth. So to me was the boggling part, because it's not like no one's gonna go through hoop. Because Fight TV, yeah, you gotta download the app and do all this, but YouTube is YouTube. Everybody got YouTube.
And you type in NWA and it comes up.
Boom.
Yeah.
So that was the easiest find ever. And even then, they had it on their Facebook group. They would just get on their Facebook page, YouTube link, boom, that's it. So now you're adding an extra hurdle because is the link and then the link to Fite TV. And if they don't have Fite TV, they're going to have to deal with the account. Like the thing with product placement, you got to make it easier.
Right.
Easier for people to get it. Not harder.
I think we'll maybe stop here. I mean, there's a lot that could be said about NWA, and I'm sure we're going to get more information as we continue through the weeks. Talking about another move, NXT might be moving to Tuesdays very soon. I heard April. This isn't a surprise. I think we actually talked about this a little while back on the show. So this is a smart move for NXT, no? Shooter?
Kaliko can go first here.
Kaliko?
It depends because I want to see if it's a permanent move. Because the whole reason that neither show, and here's the problem with it, because essentially if they move, they're allowing people to have more viewership of AEW, but I don't think they would make that move unless they know that AEW is capped at a limit. And think about it, they've been on TV for about a year, and they never got past 1.5 million.
On a good day.
Yeah, on a good day. So that tells you something right there. Like, yeah, everybody can say, oh, they won the ratings war and blah, 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 blah. But the whole point of product is to grow. And it makes, if the hardcores are keeping you alive, and WWE is having this problem too, if the hardcores are keeping you alive, there's a problem.
Right.
Because it's like, those are the people you already got. The whole point of it is to expand. Hence why they expanded to inside the NBA with Shaq, because that's probably the biggest basketball show on earth inside the NBA. So it got them.
That they're on the same network as well.
It doesn't hurt that they're on the same network, but even then they would have. I remember they had a lead-in. They had a follow-up after Inside the NBA, and it didn't go too well.
It did not, no.
So that tells you, like, they started the company thinking that they could they're attracting the people who don't like WWE. Whoop-de-doo, that's fine. But now this is year 2 on TV. It's time to be trying to grow. Granted, the pandemic came in effect, but they had motherfuckers. They got people there going there now. And I bet you it's the same people, give or take maybe 5-10%.
Well, the move isn't necessarily per se, the AEW issue there. I believe it's because of the NBC Sports Network closing its doors. And those sports, the hockey and all that good stuff isn't going to be on that network. It's going to be on USA, and that's going to preempt them. So they would rather not have the preempt and just be on a separate day.
Yeah, but and that's fine, and I get, and yeah, and NXT's doing it. I get it because it's them forcing the move, but now they're going against hockey, and hockey's not a big draw in the U.S., but I'm pretty sure it's a big fucking draw in Canada, and I'm pretty sure it's a big draw. It's a big draw in the big cities. I could guarantee that it's a big draw. I'm betting you right now, if it was Chicago Blackhawks, St. Louis Blues, they'll probably get more ratings than damn AEW, because they're 2 storied franchises, and hockey fans know those names. Same with like New York Rangers. And it depends on who's playing.
Right.
And hell, the AEW couldn't get ratings after the Boston Celtics and the Washington Wizards. So what the hell are they gonna do with some hockey?
Scooter, you want to add anything?
I mean, in terms of NXT moving to Tuesday, yeah, it is because Wednesday is a big night for sports, and now with Universal and NBC no longer having a cable sports network, USA now becomes the home of Raw, SVU, and hockey, and which would make for a very interesting crossover.
Produced by Dick Wolf.
Dun dun. I don't have the soundbite loaded up.
I kind of caught you off guard there.
I mean, the only person with really anything to say about this is Tony Khan, who relishes the idea of running unopposed.
Which might not be maybe the best idea, as Kaliko alluded to earlier.
See, but here's the thing: is that what Vince would see as a not so great rating, Tony would see it in a much higher regard.
Right.
Like, being thankful to have anything to begin with. Yeah, that sort of idea. I mean,
I get that. While it's true, I get that point. I can see your point there.
I mean, other than that, I also Tuesday is, and somebody please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, if this is not the case anymore, but Tuesday nights are the most watched night of the week when it comes to television in terms of prime time. Yeah, that 8 to 10 p.m. slot. So if I'm gonna have any honest opinion, it's maybe NXT shouldn't move to Tuesdays. Maybe they should move to Thursdays. Or you know what? Move to Saturday. Move to Saturday night. And and with the Saturday nights at 7 p.m. And
get that little nostalgia bump.
Exactly. I mean, since NXT is, raising, every little bit of nostalgia from the dead, it seems.
True.
But I really expect NXT ratings to get lower if they go to Tuesday. I mean, look at SmackDown when it was on Tuesdays.
Oh, that's right. That's true.
But SmackDown was never like the problem with being on Tuesdays is that it'll probably be on a network that like it's on USA. Most people got USA, but the reason SmackDown was filling because they put that shit on like Sci-Fi, and it's like ain't nobody trying to go to Sci-Fi. You know what I mean? Like that's why SmackDown is doing a lot more decent now because it's on a channel that every TV's got. Like everybody got local channel 5 Fox. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
I mean, they could also pull well, not exactly take an idea from AEW, but what if they aired NXT before SmackDown.
That would be better. It would only be if it's on the same channel.
Yeah, I mean, you could be like, yeah, tune to Fox, go to Fox now and watch. Then, or if have it be on Mondays. The only thing about that is that Raw is the start of the week for most wrestling fans, and by the time if NXT 2 hours, by the time Raw comes around, Raw's ratings would probably drop. SmackDown.
I mean, you're talking about 5 hours of wrestling in one day.
Yes, but at the start of the week as opposed to the end of the week, where people would probably enjoy it more. Yeah, of course, this is all hypothetical and
right.
The saving grace for NXT is that it's so widely regarded as good wrestling. Because keep in mind, it was killing on the network when it was just that. Like when the network started, it was just NXT, and it was doing the damn thing. So I give it its props that's the saving grace, that they built like, NXT is where the wrestling really is.
I mean, also the possibility of an NXT women's tag title now.
Right. And we'll continue covering this story as the information becomes available to us. And on a bit of a more bizarre side of news today, some guy bought Vince McMahon's coat from an episode of SmackDown, I believe, at a thrift store for $45.
Yep. Redditor Spruce Moose revealed that he found a rare item at a local thrift shop worn by Vince. Oh, I mean, not necessarily that old. On the April 24th edition of SmackDown, which was the Triple H 25th anniversary show, it was originally bought at Richards in Greenwich, Connecticut, which is a luxury clothing store. And it's oh God, I'm going to butcher this name. Oh my God, I got it. Azegna. I can't say that first name just yet. Azegna but it says exclusively for VKM on the inside tag. But the jacket itself was made February 4th, 2019. The estimated cost that Vince paid, at least between $2,000 to $4,300, and at the most $8,000.
Imagine that goes up considering that it was worn by Vince McMahon on TV.
Yep.
So does it mean he's going to be on the pilot show that AEW Wrestling Fine shit?
AEW, I'm trying to think of...
No, the A&E show, the A&E shit.
Storage Wars?
Something like that. It's like the thing Triple A. Oh, I forgot what it was called. They're doing like a.
Where they clean out lockers or?
The porn stars?
No.
Porn stars. That's it. That I wouldn't be surprised if that shows up on Porn Stars, or Oh God, what was the show? Hardcore Pawn on A&E. The show based out of Detroit. Lex Luger. Yep.
Yeah, Lex Luger was on there.
Lex Luger sold some of his robes
It's just kind of a shame.
to Les and his crew there. I love those shows. Those pawn shop shows.
I mean, it definitely makes me want to go to my local thrift store and see what the hell they have.
I mean, I always loved thrift stores. You never know what you can find. I once found a soccer jersey that had my actual last name on it.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, a Croatian World Cup soccer jersey.
There's something you want to tell us, Scooter?
No. I only bought it because it had my name on it. Literally.
I was alluding that you might not be the American, you might be the Croatian.
Well, if people knew my my real name. No, but I'm absolutely not Croatian. I hate Croatian people. No, I don't. I don't. I love them. I love them so much. I want to marry them.
And
Menagildo Zane.
And that's how we say it. Wait. Oh, come on. Now it's not working. Come on. Work, damn it. Maybe if we get it slower.
Ermenegildo Zania.
Ermenegildo Zania. That's the jacket.
And we'll conclude our coverage of the news this week